guys, welcome back to Any Sooner. As always, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Join the family. We're always excited to have you guys. To the Any Sooner, it's your boy JP. Really looking forward to today's episode. Been a long time coming. As you guys know, it's hard to get some of these videos in right now. Like I told you guys, I'm AD, and so from day to day, just depends on what's going to happen. Hoping to be a little bit more consistent though. Aiming for Tuesday and Friday video drops generically, but hopefully, I'm even generally hoping for Tuesday and Friday video drops. But again, glad to be back here with you guys. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Indy_Sooner. Also making an Instagram that will be under the same name, Indy_Sooner, here pretty soon. So don't forget to follow me on those platforms and join the family. Guys, today we're talking about the big boys. We're talking about offensive line and defensive line, okay? So it's one in the trenches, right? That's what you hear said all the time when we're talking about football games. If you don't have a good offensive line and you don't have a good defensive line, your team's not going to be successful. You can ask anybody. Now, they may not be glamorous. They may not be stat sheet stuffers all the time. Obviously, defensive line, you can have your guys that have some high level sacks and high level, a high count of sacks. And even pressures, right? Quarterback hits, all those things are measurable statistics. Offensive line, people say they look at pancakes. I don't think they really do, especially the average football fan. So, it's not a glamorous position. But at the end of the day, if you want to win a national championship, you better have a great offensive line and a great defensive line, right? Oklahoma has been one of the best offensive lines in the nation recently. Really since Bedenbaugh took over, he's been money. And we have a little slogan we say around here, in Bedenbaugh we trust, right? Sooners fans all over say that, especially Sooner fans on Twitter. We don't worry about the offensive line position. I know everybody's tripping about Tristan Lay going to Clemson, which again, like I've told people, reading into it, he has family in Clemson. You can't always bet on somebody wanting to leave their family. Some kids just want to be close to family, and that's a decision that they make, even if it's not the best decision optically, right? Even if it's not the best decision as far as Clemson's offensive line goes and what they've been compared to Oklahoma's offensive line. Obviously, they're contenders, but nobody will say Clemson's offensive line is better than Oklahoma's offensive line the last couple of years, because that's just not factual. But again, you can't just put recruiting in a box. Like, there are different people, different kids do things differently, and that's okay. And so with that, all I'm saying is, regardless of whether we got him or not, we're going to be good. And praise God, Wanya Moore showed up, okay? That was just a boop, drop in the bucket for us, okay? University of Tennessee transfer, 6'5", got incredible athleticism, able to move around the left tackle spot really well. Great kickouts. Looked to be an all-SEC type of performer really at Tennessee. He started a lot his first couple years. Really got hurt a little bit, and then got usurped. I don't know what you want to say happened over there, but again, Tennessee has not been the best the last couple of years, so you can't really worry about what's going on over there. Now, we'll get to Wanya a little bit later, but I just wanted to do a deep dive real quick into the offensive line, and then we'll get to the defensive line, which I've been waiting for since we started this series. Okay, so starting off. Looking at the center position, which is obviously going to be a lot of people will say our biggest need is left tackle, and that we needed one right before we were going to compete for a national championship, which I get and I see, but that's my second, right? That's my second biggest need on offensive line right now. For me, it's got to be the center. Okay, we lost Creed Humphrey, All-American in that position, somebody who hadn't allowed a sack in his 2.5 years, really, of being on the OU offensive line. He was somebody that grew up a Sooner fan from Shawnee, Oklahoma. Was just really the quintessential Sooner. And not only was he that, he was a beast while doing it, and he should go early in the NFL draft next week. So that's a big time shoes to fill for whoever does that, whether that's Chris Murray or Ian McIver, right? I mean, to lose a guy like that, not only that, just his leadership as well. And I mean, you guys saw his pro day, his athleticism, all that's hard to replace. And obviously the offensive line needs to take a step up this year from where they were last year. And that wasn't because of Creed. The tackles were iffy, right? We were experimenting with Eric Swinson, who has been up and down in his career here, and obviously a true freshman in Anton Harrison, who is really talented but just was really raw. Okay, and then our guards were okay. They weren't solid all the time, but they were pretty good most of the year. Tyrese Robinson, Marquise Hayes, and you're just hoping that they continue to take that next jump, maybe like a Drew Samia and a Ben Powers did from 2017 to 2018. They were pretty good in 2017. Right, in 2018, made the jump that allowed Oklahoma's offensive line to be the Joe Moore Award recipient, which is the best offensive line in college football. So at the right tackle, obviously we lost Adrian Ely, and again, big loss there as well. But I think Anton Harrison's probably going to fill in that spot pretty well, and we'll get to that a little later. But I don't think that's as big of a deal as the anchor of the line, which is the center. So we'll just dive into that real quick. We got Chris Murray and Ian McIver pretty much up for those two. Those two are up for that position. Another guy that's getting some look there is Andrew Rame. Remember, big old boy at a Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Tulsa, big school. If you guys aren't familiar with Oklahoma area, any of my indie friends that are watching, Broken Arrow is a powerhouse school at a near Tulsa that really every year produces a lot of talent. And so Andrew Rhyme, we picked him up a couple years ago, I believe, the 2019 class, and he's just going to be, maybe it was a 2020 class. Yeah, I think it was a 2020 class actually that we picked him up in. Regardless, he got good size on him, 6'3", 304, but he was a 4-star recruit. Again, out of the state of Oklahoma, we got to get those, and we did. And so he's still young, but again, hoping to obviously see him push Chris Murray or even McIver for that spot. Now, Ian McIver is the safe bet, right? That's a redshirt senior who's been here. He's seen it all. He's seen Creed do it. He's been here for 5-6 years. He understands the offense, the ins and outs of it, right? And there's a lot to be said about that, right? Now, he may not have all the tools that a Chris Murray has, right? A Chris Murray who is, 6'3", 279, Ian McIver 6'3", 311. So Chris Murray is a little bit more athletic than Ian McIver is. Probably, again, has more upside than Ian McIver. But again, if we go back to 2017 with Baker Mayfield, we had Eric Wren at center. And Eric Wren, again, no slouch, don't get me wrong, really good. But most people would choose Creed Humphrey, obviously, the last couple of years of Creed Humphrey over Eric Wren. Yet at the same time, that was one of the best offenses to that point in Oklahoma history. And a big part of that was because of the way the offensive line protected Baker Mayfield early and often. And so it's not that Baker Mayfield was always escaping. Yes, sometimes he did his Houdini act, but for the most part, the offensive line kept him clean. And Eric Wren had a lot to do with that. Now, he didn't get a good shake in the league, obviously. Again, sometimes certain things happen and it doesn't go your way. But again, you don't have to be this uber talented center like Creed Humphrey obviously was always to anchor a very good team, even a national championship contending team. Because that team, if they had half the defense, if it had honestly, even if it had the first year defense of Alex Grinch, probably would have won a natty. Definitely, if it had last year's defense, it would have won a natty, no doubt in my mind. So again, you don't need an all-world center. And again, Chris Murray is highly recruited. He's from UCLA. Played and started there. I think 18 games he started there or something around there, and was a 4-star recruit originally at a modern day high school in California, and so obviously he wanted the opportunity to come here and play for Bill Bedenbaugh, and hopefully, right, we get to see him on the field and get to see what everybody had been raving about when we got him out of the transfer portal. Now he has to just honestly has to click for him to even be able to get to where Ian McIver is. But at the end of the day, I think most people think once he clicks, right, once the offense clicks for him, he's going to continue to be better and better, and will probably honestly. If he doesn't start day one, maybe if Ian does, maybe usurp him. And again, hey, that's a good problem to have. I'm glad to have an Ian McIver. I mean, he's like a Brian Meade on the offensive side of the ball, if you will. Brian Odom talked about him the last couple in the last couple of weeks and just said, "Yo, Brian Meade, that's a guy that knows his defense in and out. He knows what he's supposed to do. He's just a solid veteran guy that you'd love to have back there." It's the same thing I'd say about Ian McIver. Okay, nothing bad to say about the kid. He's batted it out. Again, we'll see, but it doesn't hurt to have those two, especially one that obviously has a ton of upside, and then the other one who just has been here forever and knows the offense at the very least. You have to feel at least pretty comfortable with that. And then you have obviously Andrew Raym in the background, just some young talent, some young promising talent potentially coming up. So then we'll move over to the guard spots, like I said. Marquise Hayes, Tyrese Robinson, those are two guys that I expect to be the starters and to anchor the offensive line. Obviously, we're still talking about spring and what we'll see. And even when I told Gabe Eichert and Teddy Lehman, they put out a Twitter poll, or not a Twitter poll, but just a question. What are you looking for this Saturday, Sooner fans? And I told them, look, honestly, for me, I'm looking to see how the offensive line performs. The defensive line is supposed to be one of the best in the nation. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But because of that, if they perform admirably well, I think you could reasonably say, "Yo, this is going to be a very good year for the O-line." And then again, you can't always say things in spring. I mean, again, it takes time, fall camp, sometimes even a couple games we've seen into the season for people to get rolling. But at the end of the day, if the offensive line holds up against that D-line, I think that those are good signs, honestly, moving forward. And so I expect those two to to really bolster. I mean, they've started almost 3 years now. Tyrese Robinson specifically will have started 3 years now. I think Marquise Hayes as well. This will be their third year starting, considering they get their starting spots and obviously earn their starting spots. So you have to be excited about that. And Marquise Hayes is straight out of the Cody Ford mold. Obviously, he's not playing tackle, but if you remember Cody Ford back when he was a guard, before they moved him to right tackle for the senior year of Kyler Murray in 2018, I think you remember what type of mauler that he was. I mean, that's just what he was. He was a mauler. That's what he did. That's all he did. Excuse me, I was wrong. Left tackle. Cody Ford played left tackle that year. But again, he was a mauler, and that's what his calling card was. And even that's what his calling card has been for the Buffalo Bills. And obviously, we hope he stays healthy. But at the end of the day, Marquise Hayes, he's kind of cut out of the same cloth. And he's just nasty, wants to get down on the ground. Obviously, maybe he needs to clean up some technique things, but you can deal with that when you're dealing with somebody that loves to put people on the ground. And so I think Marquise Hayes has continued to grow and show growth, and I think that this will be a year where maybe he can take a step up and look to be an early round selection in next year's draft. Same with Tyrese Robinson. Tyrese Robinson has probably been a lot more maligned than Marquise Hayes. He's gotten a lot more holding penalties, made a couple of boneheaded mistakes. I mean, again, they're still relatively young. I mean, they're going to be seniors this year. But again, you just get that with experience. Tyrese Robinson apparently has been doing really well. I mean, that's somebody Lincoln Riley specifically and Bill Bedenbaugh specifically called out as have had a really good winter and spring and is looking good, and just leadership wise is really leading the charge. And that's what you love to hear. Especially when you're talking about somebody that is in their third year potentially starting. If he's not getting better, it's an issue. So that's a good thing to hear. Obviously, we're going to look for big things from Tyrese Robinson moving forward. And then obviously you have, Aaron Parks. You have guys like Bray Walker, who obviously, you hope more at a Bray, because he's a 6'5", former 5-star, 6'7", excuse me, former 5-star recruit, and you just hope to see him kind of break out. But at this point, it hasn't happened. I'm not saying it can't, but he's being moved around guard and tackle. Obviously, it's nice to have that type of depth. Looking at it like a 5-star is, on your too deep on your offensive line. I'm okay with that, right? And so again, hopefully he gets some play time. Can't hurt, especially if we have some injuries. Hopefully we stay healthy on the offensive line, but you just really never know with that. And so yeah, those are guys that are going to be looking to be on the too deep at the very least, and at that position. And then we're going to move over to the right tackle position. Then we're going to get to the left tackle position. That's going to be kind of the end of our offensive line segment. So at the right tackle position, like I said, Anton Harrison's probably going to shore that up. He's a guy that Bill Bedenbaugh said has a chance to be one of the greats, and that's not a light statement, especially coming from that man. So I'm personally very excited for Anton Harrison and to see what he does in his sophomore year. He was a true freshman last year and got to play a lot, split time at left tackle with Eric Swinson, and did pretty well. Obviously, he was a lot better in the run game, and his passing game wasn't okay. And Eric Swinson was a lot better in passing game. His run game wasn't great. And so both of them are probably trying to shore that up as we speak. But I think they're going to move Anton Harrison over to the right tackle position and have him take over where Adrian Ely was. And I think we can look for a lot of good things out of him over there, especially when they run that way. When they do especially if they do a GT counter pull with the guard tackle. I mean, him getting out in front, it's going to be a nasty thing. You also are probably going to have guys like maybe a Finley Felix, or even maybe a Noah Nelson, be able to maybe anchor him behind him on the 2 deep, 3 deep chart. Noah Nelson, 6'7", out of Arizona. I don't know if you remember him from the 2019 class. He was a 4-star get. Kind of came with Spencer Rattler. Obviously, they played in the same state, came in the same class, and so you're kind of hoping for them to do better. And guys, I'm tired. I just said Noah Nelson was in the 2019 class. He's 2020. Yeah, excuse me. He was in the 2020 class. Yes, him and Spencer played in the same state. They're one class apart. But regardless, he's somebody that's going to be looked to maybe bolster that right tackle spot as well. If I'm not mistaken, like I said, you got those two, and maybe you think about putting no, that's pretty much it as far as I would understand. I don't think maybe Bray Walker, like we said, he might go guard tackle on that side. But besides that, you got to like Anton Harrison holding that spot there. We have some nice depth over there. Last but not least, certainly, is the left tackle position. Left tackle position, again, something that you have to have a left tackle if you're going to compete. We weren't great at that last year. Spencer got hit a lot, or at least had to get out of trouble a lot sometimes, just because we'd have our left tackle get their doors blown open, whether it's Eric or even Anton. So now you bring over Wanya Morris, former 5-star that was at Tennessee. And, this cat, like I said, 6'5", 313, just athletic, just what you want. Just grades out to be a really, really great tackle. And you hope he spends a year or two even here and can go in a high round situation, maybe even first round. He's still coming back from an injury. He's still, obviously he's been practicing the last week or two maybe. Hasn't really gotten to be out there. But at the end of the day, He's going to be somebody that everybody's looking to bolster that position and be the guy, kind of honestly, since um, Cody Ford, Orlando Brown, right? We haven't had somebody anchor that position since those guys, and so we're looking for him to be the next guy there. You're going to have probably Eric Swinson looking to be there with him, and maybe even Eric Swinson could be at that right tackle position that I mentioned earlier. I'm not sure. Still think that's Anton Harrison's job to lose. We'll see, but again, you have some depth there. Eric Swinson can be there. Like I said, you might have a Noah Nelson that could flip flop. You definitely have a Stacy Wilkins even before him. That obviously opted out last year, but he came back, and so you have a Stacy Wilkins that everybody was really high on last year before he opted out, and honestly thought that he could have been the left tackle over Eric Swinson, but he obviously didn't play and everything like that. So we'll just see. We'll have to see what happens at the end of the day, but Wanya Morris, I think, is going to be somebody that can step in day one and do what we need him to do to get us to a national championship game. This offensive line, I think, has a chance to really gel, even missing Creed Humphrey. We have the talent. We have the coach. I'm not worried about it. And Bedenbaugh, we trust, baby. Okay, moving on to the defensive line. And to be honest, I didn't think I was going to spend 20 minutes on the offensive line, but I did. So I'm just gonna go rapid fire on the defensive line. I'm passionate about them, so it's gonna be quick and in a hurry because there's not much to say. There's not much to say. Okay, I'm gonna try to get this puppy out in 10 minutes. Okay, listen to me, Sooners Nation. This could possibly be the best defensive line we've had since, were they saying, the Tommy Harris days? The mid 2000s. Do y'all understand how scary that is? Do y'all understand how scary that is? Okay, let me just start right here. Jalen Redmond's coming back. Okay, the man that led us in sacks 2 years ago and opted out last year. Obviously, everybody knows he's been dealing with blood clots. Him. He's coming back. Okay, and I know we lost Ronnie Perkins, and man, how crazy would it have been to get Ronnie Perkins back. But Jalen Redmond's a monster. And they say he's looking better than ever right now. Okay, so it's just amazing to me, the talent. Like, we have Jalen Redmond. I laid that out for you. We got Perion Winfrey, who single-handedly at times during late in the year last year, single-handedly took over games. I mean, I remember he almost swallowed Charlie Brewer for dinner. I don't know if y'all remember that play. I remember it vividly in my head. They are down, or Baylor's down like the 5 or 6 yard line. Okay, their own 5 or 6 yard line. Perion Winfrey puts this nasty swim move, okay, on the guard and goes in between the guard and center. And he's right there, almost gets the safety. Misses like that, but he causes pressure, causes Charlie Brewer to either throw it away or somebody else got him, one of the two. But that man, right? Can you imagine those two side by side? Dog, I'm telling you, if you put Perion right here and you got Jalen Redmond on the edge, that's scary for a guard and tackle. Like, personally, I wouldn't want to deal with it. Okay, so that's just there, right? Okay, let's continue to move on. Then you got Isaiah Thomas, who could potentially be that other DT, right? So you're gonna have those two defensive tackles, or you can even call one a nose guard, whatever you want to say. That's probably gonna be more a Perion Winfrey, and then you're gonna have maybe an Isaiah Thomas right there, and Jalen Redmond on this side, and then you got Nick Benito at rush linebacker, who, I mean, the man. Let me make sure I get his stats right, because I don't want to disrespect him over here. Nick Benito had one of the best years that a rush end has had. I mean, yes, you could say maybe since Ogbo Okoronkwo, but a lot of people would even say that his lethalness last year was comparable to Eric Stryker, right? Think about that. Eric Stryker. Y'all remember him, right? Y'all remember that man? A beast. I mean, it's just. I believe Nick Bonito had around 8 or 9 sacks last year. Way more QB pressures. Maybe even way more QB hits. Okay, here we go. I'm getting to him. Let me find him. Man, I was right on him. Come on. Where are you at? Man, JP just wasting time. Looking. Hey, I want to make sure I get it right for y'all, though. Right? I want to make sure I get it right for y'all. All right, let's find him. We just going to go by name because we can't find it. All right. Boom. Here it is. All right. Nick Bonito, my boy. First team PFF All-American. Can't believe he didn't. Honorable mention in Big 12. Are you kidding me? That's terrible. Now listen. He had 10.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. Yep. And the team high 10 quarterback hurries. Man was a monster. He was in the backfield all year long. Okay? So that, let's just say, listen to me, y'all. Yeah, it's about to get scary. It's about to get real scary in here. Let's say that's your front four. Okay? Let's just say that's your front four. Let's assume. Let's dream for a second, Sooner Nation. That's your front four. Who are you stopping? Jalen Redmond? Isaiah Thomas? Perion Winfrey? Nick Bonito? You can't double all of them. Somebody's going to be one-on-one. It's just like I said about the receiver core. And yes, I know what's going on. We will address it as soon as Lincoln Riley addresses it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. It's the same as the wide receiver core. Who are you going to guard? You can't double everybody. You can't bracket everybody. You cannot double every defensive lineman. It's just not going to happen. And it doesn't stop there, y'all. Okay? When I'm looking at this roster, look at this. Okay, now they want to be in alphabetical order. It doesn't stop there. When you get to the rest of the defensive linemen, so like I said, we already said Jalen Redmond, Perion Winfrey, okay? Oh my gosh, y'all. Marcus Stripling, 6'3", 241, okay? Probably going to be at that rush end with Nick Bonito and Clayton Smith. I haven't gotten to Clayton Smith yet, okay? We talked about him a little bit in the first linebacker video. Then we got Jordan Kelly, who had flashes last year, that's going to be on the interior defensive line. Josh Ellison, who apparently is having even a better spring than Perion is. And we know how good Perion is. So they came in together, the two JUCO guys, right? Josh Ellison and Perion Winfrey. Think about those two. Oh my gosh. And at the same time, or even just bolstering each other. Imagine being able to just rotate those guys in and out. What are you going to do? As an offensive line, I just don't know. Corey Roberson, right? Flashed again. Some of those old guys that are flashing finally in Grinch's system, they're finally getting it. Okay? You got Isaiah Coe, who is really raw, but everybody says he's doing really well, especially Jamar Cain. You got Isaiah Thomas, we already talked about him. LaRon Stokes. Everybody forgot about LaRon Stokes. Y'all forget about him? Right? Just a JUCO guy that's 6'4", 272. Was in a little bit of injury trouble last year, but he's no scrub. He's gonna be on the 2 deep. Okay, so just imagine for me. Take a gander at me for a second. You can switch Isaiah Thomas, Jalen Redmond, Jalen Redmond. You can switch out Josh Ellison, right? And Perion Winfrey, Jordan Kelly, Corey Roberson, Marcus Stripling, right? LaRon Stokes. And then you got Marcus Hicks, he's 6'5", 287. He's a physical marvel. And if he hadn't been injured, really, a lot of people thought he would have had a chance to be a starter last year. Then you have him. Unreal. It's unreal, the amount of depth we have. We're talking SEC-type depth right here. And no, I don't subscribe that the SEC is in general better than what, that's all I'm saying. But what I am saying, that obviously we all know the tops of the SEC, that's what they do. They churn these people out like butter. And that's where you needed to be to continue their progression and becoming the elite of the elite. They're already elite, but they needed a defense. And this is how you do that. You get your defensive line right. And all these guys that we have on here, it's unreal the talent that's available. Okay? I mean, and then we talk about the young guys, Clayton Smith, Brendan Walker. Clayton Smith specifically, he's still pretty raw, I've been hearing, but just his raw talent, right? He was a 5-star out of Texas. Then we got Brendan Walker out of Bishop McGuinness, homegrown product, that also flashed a little bit last year. The future's bright, y'all. It's bright. The defensive line is going to be monstrous this year. We were already crazy last year, put up crazy sack numbers, okay? Top 5 in defensive efficiency, had 9 sacks against Texas. I mean, I'm not saying I predict more sacks against Texas this year because Sark has a system that he's actually going to get the ball out of his quarterback's hand pretty quick. At least that's what you would hope. Maybe the quarterback's gonna wait for the long shot instead of taking his bailout. Okay, like he probably needs to, like all young quarterbacks have to learn. It's going to be their first year in the system. We'll see. But I don't know offensive line in America, let alone the Big 12, that's going to be able to hold up with the likes of our defensive line. And then, you know what? I missed a couple people too. That's not to say anything about Ethan Downs, true freshman, already making strides in camp. That's not to say anything about Nathan Rollins-Kabonge. And I apologize if I butchered that. Okay, just 6'5", 6'6", out of Portland, Oregon, lengthy on the edge. That's not to say anything about Reggie Grimes. Are you kidding me? We are literally at all 4, rush end, defensive tackle, okay, or nose guard, defensive tackle, and then defensive end. We are stacked. Okay? On the right end, where Jalen Redmond probably will be, you can go him, you can go Isaiah Thomas, flip-flop. Okay? On the defensive tackle, you can go LaRon Stokes, you can go Perrion Winfrey, or even LaRon Stokes, Marcus Hicks, LaRon Stokes, Reggie Grimes, LaRon Stokes, Jordan Kelly, or you could switch them out. The nose guard, Josh Ellison, Perrion. Okay? I mean, what are you gonna do? Isaiah Cole potentially, right? I mean, and then at rush end, you got Nick Benito, you got Marcus Stripling. At least that's just the 2 deep. Then you got Clayton Smith potentially come behind him if he comes on. We're gonna be rotating guys out like crazy, and it's gonna be amazing. And I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait. And I can't wait to see what happens Saturday between these 2 units, the offensive line, defensive line. Drop in the comment section who y'all think are going to win, is going to win that battle. Offensive line, defensive line. Y'all let me know. Hey, I got another video coming for y'all tomorrow. We're going to do the quarterback room. Obviously, everybody knows who's the quarterback going to be, Spencer Rattler, but we're going to just detail maybe what he's been going through, the jump that we think he can make, and then even Caleb Williams. We're talking about Michael Bowens, maybe him staying a couple years, maybe being the heir apparent to Caleb Williams when he leaves. Who knows? We'll see. But, again, I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. Again, we're looking for more consistent drops, most likely, hopefully. Y'all be praying for me, trying to make sure I get everything squared away at work. But I appreciate y'all, as always. It's Boomer Sooner all day. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Join the family. I love y'all. Be easy. Boomer.